Hi everyone, welcome to Things Lucy Reads. I'm Luce and this is my November wrap-up video. This month I participated in the Middle-earth road trip readathon, which was run by Hex Libris on Instagram. I didn't read all of the books that I was planning to get to for that readathon. I had a TBR of 5 plus 2 extra books and I only actually got through 3 and a bit. But that's okay. It was good to just join in and to try, and I enjoyed myself anyway. So the first book that I read for that readathon was Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor. This was my pick for Numenor, for which the prompt was Lost Civilization, and this fit because of the City of Weep. People think that it is lost and you can't get to it, and then it turns out that that's not the case. I really enjoyed this. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I thought the world was really well realized and also fascinating. I really liked Laszlo and Sarai as characters. I thought they were great, and the whole dichotomy between gods and humans and how they dealt with each other was really interesting as well. Something I really enjoyed was that a lot of the characters were morally grey, especially the hero guy. What's his name? I forget it. Errol Fane. The conflicted way that Sarai felt about Errol Fane in particular was really fascinating. The way that she kept trying to reconcile who he was with what he had done, and her feelings about what he had done versus her feelings for who he was. And that was really interesting, and I hope that that gets resolved in Muse of Nightmares because I would really like to know. I kind of saw coming the big plot twist at the end, and then when it happened I was like, oh yep, called it. But it was still enjoyable to read regardless. Like I said, I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars. The only thing that I didn't really like about it was that Sarai was 17 and Laszlo was also 17, but in a lot of cases he would be thinking about her and thinking about how sexy she was and what the thought of her body did to his body. And you know, teenagers have sex and it's fine, and I'm not trying to say that that's inappropriate or whatever. Hi, Future Lucy here. I was just editing this video and I didn't think that I explained myself very well here about this whole issue of Sarai being described as sexy. The book is written in first person from dual perspectives. We get Laszlo's point of view and also Sarai's, and all of the parts about Sarai being sexy and about her curves and about her body are from Laszlo's point of view. So we are seeing her through his eyes, and he finds her very sexually attractive, which, like I've said, is fine. But reading it as an adult, I'm 25, and being aware that this book was written by someone who is much older even than me, about 2 characters who, regardless of whether or not they're minors in their world, would be considered minors in this world, felt a little bit icky. I didn't really want to read about the breasts and the curves and the body of a 17-year-old girl, whether it was through the eyes of a 17-year-old boy or not. And all I'm really trying to say here is that it felt a little too voyeuristic for my taste, like I was intruding on something that I had no right to take any part in. And I'm not at all trying to paint this as pedophilia, because it's not, because it's just literally what Laszlo is thinking about her, but reading it was a little bit of a odd experience. That was the only thing that didn't really sit right with me, and that was a very minor complaint. Overall, I really enjoyed this. It was as lyrical as I would expect from Laini Taylor, and I can't wait to read Muse of Nightmares, hopefully next year. The next book I read was For Can't, and the prompt for that was an Own Voices book of A Culture Not Your Own, and for that I read The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas. This book was phenomenal. It was a very easy 5 stars. I don't have a lot to say about it because anything I could say now has already been said by other people, but I think it is essential reading for absolutely everybody, and even if you think that maybe this is not your thing, you should read it anyway because it's just really important, and it's also just really, really good. And I can't wait until the movie comes out on DVD because I really want to see that too. And then the next book I read was my Mirkwood book, and that was The Last Wish by Andrzej Sapkowski. I said it right this time. It's first chronologically, but it's like 0.5, not 1, of the Witcher series, which has been made into a video game and is currently being made into a Netflix TV series starring Henry Cavill instead of Mads Mikkelsen, which is a travesty, really, but what can you do? This was really good. So it was a collection of 5 certain adventures of Geralt, and in between those we got this story of Geralt at a temple, which was set chronologically after the first story in this collection. And through those little background bits with Geralt at the temple, we found out a little more about him and the world in general and his relationships with the other characters. and most of the adventures were loose fairy tale retellings. The first one was Sleeping Beauty. There was a Beauty and the Beast one. There was a Snow White one. Rumpelstiltskin was mentioned, although the name wasn't Rumpelstiltskin, it was Rumpel something else, I forget now. And it was really good, and I was enjoying this ferociously until the last story, which was the story of how Geralt met Yennefer. And you know, that was fine, that was mostly fine, except for the glaringly sexist and ableist parts of Yennefer's characterization. So she's a female sorceress, and learning sorcery is hard and it's grueling, and it doesn't bring you any particular position or prestige. It doesn't bring honor to the family name or whatever. So usually this is all in the book, the only women that become sorceresses are ones that have no better prospects. So the ugly ones, the not very smart ones, the disabled ones, that kind of thing. Yennefer in particular, it's revealed, was a hunchback, and she's obviously used magic to cure that and to make herself look maybe more attractive than she would have been normally. And this makes her bitter, apparently. Like, that's what I got across from Geralt's narration, that she was bitter because she used to be a hunchback and now she was somewhat attractive, and I don't know, it was weird. And the other thing about being a female sorceress is that it makes your ovaries atrophy. Okay, why? Like, that's not a, we find out that's not a concrete rule, it only happens in most cases, but yeah, that was a whole thing. And that happened at the very end of the book, that I was just smacked in the face with this blatant sexism and ableism, and it wasn't enough to color my whole enjoyment of the book, which I had loved up until that point. But it was only 4 stars after that. I couldn't deal with the ridiculousness of that whole thing. 4 out of 5 stars. I have bought the rest of the series and we will see how that goes. The last book I started for the readathon was my Rivendell book, which was a book that you were anticipating, and for that I chose Mortal Engines by Philip Reeve. I'm only about 46 pages into this so far, and I've kind of put it on hold because now it's time for holiday books. I really enjoyed the short part of this that I've read, and I'm just really excited to finish off this book and the rest of the series, and also see the movie because it's just fantastic. It's the kind of like clever slash absurdist humor of Douglas Adams or Terry Pratchett set in a like sci-fi dystopian world, and it's fantastic. There was one part in which he was describing the way the world works, and it's that the bigger cities hunt and then eat the smaller like mining towns, fishing towns, little settlements, that kind of thing, and that this is just how things happen. It's natural, it's the way of the world, and it is called municipal Darwinism, which is fucking hysterical. So hopefully I'll be able to finish this off in January. But yeah, I'm really excited to finish this off and also to see the movie because Hugo Weaving is in it, and I love Hugo Weaving, so it's gonna be great. Hi, Future Lucy again. I actually have decided to end this video here and to keep these books that I read for the readathon separate from the books that I didn't read for the readathon, just in the interests of not making you watch a really long video and not making myself edit a really long video and then upload and caption a really long video. As always, if you've read any of these books, please feel free to leave me a comment and let me know what you thought. Tell me if you participated in the Middle-earth road trip readathon as well and how you went with it. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you in my next one. Bye bye.